Garrett Porter was just 9 years old when he was first diagnosed with an inoperable brain tumor. He was given a short time to live and released to the care of clinical psychologist Patricia Norris. Now, 20 years later, thanks to her imagination and his courage, Garrett is still alive.
Garrett was the first cancer patient that I ever worked with. I've been wanting to do it for several years, in fact, since 1972, when I saw some other spectacularly effective work with cancer patients.
When I was diagnosed, it was like, well, what is a brain tumor? And when my father told me it could kill me, that's when my whole world changed. I was forced to grow up in a hurry.
He was thrown in at the deep end, and after a year of intensive radiation and chemical therapy produced no results, he was sent home to die.
My parents could see that I was physically deteriorating, and they had pondered about going out and buying the casket, even. And my mother screamed at me, "Garrett, if you don't do something, you're going to die."
What he did was to work with Pat Norris on a process of visualization. For him, this meant personalizing his cancer, giving it an evil identity, and mobilizing his white blood cells as forces for good, battling with the enemy on his behalf. For Garrett, this fantasy was easy. He created his own private space war. In this, he was the heroic wing commander, leading his squadron in action night after night against the stronghold of the alien invader in his brain.
Star Wars had just come out, and I was very much into that.
Garrett visualized and drew voracious little white blood corpuscles gobbling away at his tumor, mirroring the microscopic view of his real-life war against disease.
It was very real to me, and it became much more than a game. It became a, an epic struggle between good and evil. And every night I would see that damn tumor destroyed.
Every day for 6 months, Garrett fought his private war, until one night there was nothing to fight. The enemy seemed to have disappeared.
And all of a sudden, we come out of hyperspace and there's no tumor there.
He checked again, this time with more starships, but still no sign. So the next day he went into hospital for a CAT scan, and they waited with some anxiety for the results.
Doctor goes, "Well, there's no concussion and the tumor's gone." Mom jumps out of that chair. The tumor's gone? Scares the doctor half to death, and kind of fades back and says, "Well, yeah, the tumor's gone. And by the way, did you have it surgically removed?" And of course, there was no surgery, and the only thing that was left was a little white spot of calcification that I had actually seen in my visualization. That's cool.
Garrett is now 29 years old and a scanner for the Civil Air Patrol in Kansas, a fitting sequel to his own starship fantasy. Now he searches for downed aircraft and helps to rescue flyers who are lost or injured.
When I was a child, I was fighting for my own life. This time I'm fighting for everybody else's. And I think that's one thing that I came out of the whole experience with cancer with, is that lives are important. I want to save lives. I want to be out there. I want to help as much as I can.
Garrett's visualization of white blood cells as starships helped him to fight back against his brain tumor. Now that same technique is being used in a computer game to assist children like 6-year-old Julie to control her own brainwaves. The jet engines are linked to an EEG, and they fire only when her brain is producing a particular frequency. Normally, we don't know anything about this. The brain operates at anything from 1 to 22 cycles per second, depending on what we are doing at the time. But for people with neurological problems, it can be useful to produce more of the restful middle frequencies. Julie is using this technique, called neurofeedback, to help her brain relax. The spaceship to which she is connected only fires its engines when her brainwaves lie between 8 and 12 cycles per second. When she strays outside this range, the game stops. The only way to get it going again is to wait until her brain settles on the right frequency once more. And each time she is made aware of this connection, it becomes easier to make it happen again. For Julie, this is still a game. But by playing it, she exercises her mind in a manner that changes the whole way her brain works.
Every time we have a thought, a mood shift, a feeling, it's not that it's just happening up above your head in your brain. It's really happening simultaneously all over what I've actually called your body-mind. Chemicals are released, and these little molecules are diffusing all over the body through the bloodstream, binding to receptors, thus having the potential to change everything from a rate of digestion to the size of a tumor.
Professor Pert believes that her chemicals are what make it possible for someone like Garrett Porter to open up a channel between his mind and his body and to think his tumor away.
Consciousness can actually create the physical molecules, can change the physical molecules. This is very radical. This is very big. This is as big as realizing that the Earth revolves around the sun.
It seems there is no real division between the mind and the body. Both work together as part of the human whole, and changes in one influence the other. Nothing is all in the mind, or just physical. We seem to be extraordinary mixtures of mind and matter, able almost to use one to create the other. Each one of us certainly has the power, and science has now given us the means to take personal responsibility for our own well-being. We can control our own pain, look after our own fitness, and take drug-free action against infection.